Welcome to Resilience Redefined. I'm your host, Michael Ostrolenk. This show is about building better humans, institutions, and systems. On the show, I'll be interviewing many different experts from across many different fields, including human optimization, health and fitness, team building, mind-body medicine. In the institutional space, we're looking at different institutions and how we can create new ones, new models and maps, including in medicine, in education, in intelligence community, in law enforcement, in the military, especially in the special operations community. Thanks for being here and enjoy the show. Today's guest is Steve Morris, founder of Franklin Personal Fitness and host of Peace, Power, and Purpose podcast. Steve is a former U.S. Navy officer, former police officer, fitness professional, and advocate for personal transformation. His journey has been shaped by leadership, service, adversity, and ultimately redemption. After navigating significant personal challenges and embracing sobriety in 2021, congratulations, Steve, Steve rebuilt his life around faith, personal accountability, and purpose. Today, he helps others do the same through conversations with veterans, first responders, entrepreneurs, and everyday people who have overcome extraordinary obstacles. For more than 25 years, Steve has helped people develop strength, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. As a father, coach, and podcast host, he believes that true leadership begins with the examples we set, and that our greatest growth often comes through life's hardest seasons. At the heart of Steve's work is a powerful message. Your past does not define you, but taking ownership of your future can change everything. Please welcome Steve Morris. Good to see you, Steve.
Hey, good to see you, brother. Thank you for having me on your show. I'm honored.
Yeah, and this is great. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Me too.
Um,
Me too.
I mentioned in the introduction, naval service, law enforcement. Walk us through a little bit about your life. What led you to the Navy? What led you to be a police officer? And we can kind of talk about the work you're doing these days.
Yeah. So I grew up in a military family. My dad was career Army. He was one of the original members of the 160th, the Night Stalker.
Wow.
So growing up, they didn't exist, right? So that unit was pretty secretive, and we would hear stories and not really understand where dad was going. But as a kid, I heard a lot about Delta Force. I heard a lot
Hmm.
about SEAL Team 6. So I love my dad. I respect my dad. But even as a young boy, I was a little bit rebellious. So I respected what he did. I thought it was really cool. And you got to remember, this was in the 80s. So terrorism was really kind of a new thing.
Yeah. Right.
And so like the units he was working with, I was just infatuated with it. And my dad never really pushed my brother and I to join the military, but he was always really open and supportive of it. So I decided I wanted to be a SEAL because of the stories I heard as a kid, and just as I got older, some of the movies. And like we didn't have social media in high school, but I read like Rogue Warrior, man, Richard Marcinko.
Marcinko, of course. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. He was like the guy, and of course that was like the guy my dad didn't want me to be. But just because of his attitude and the trouble he'd been in. So I kind of saw the SEAL teams as kind of the ultimate man and the ultimate
Mm.
badass. Like that's what I wanted to do. So that's really what led me to the military. But I didn't join right out of school like a lot of guys do. So my dad was a warrant officer. He was a pilot, and he encouraged me to go to college. Well, I also played baseball. That
Okay.
was my life, dude. Like, I wanted to play college ball. I wanted to see if I could go to the next level, and so, that didn't happen, and my father encouraged me to go to college, try it, don't go enlisted, especially in the Navy, because you could end up on a boat doing jobs that you
You don't
you
want to be
know
doing.
Yeah, yeah, you're not joining to be in the infantry if you join the Navy. So, he encouraged me to go to school, so I ended up going to college, staying in college, and then I ended up going to OCS, but that was a long path, man. I actually worked out of school as a personal trainer for a few years because joining the Navy as an officer with a spec war contract was a process. It took a while and was pretty challenging, which I understand why, but it's a very small community. So yeah, I worked as a trainer for a while and then joined the Navy.
Well, when you joined the Navy as a trainer, did you find yourself in better shape than most people, like pre-buds?
Yeah, so I actually started running marathons, man, to prepare for
Okay.
buds. And I think one thing some people fail to realize with the Navy, it's a support branch, right? And the officer side of the house, you get all walks of life. And so the physical fitness test for just the basic Navy is not challenging. And I don't say that to brag, but most of the guys that showed up were kind of, they're like normal dudes. They weren't trying to do anything extraordinary. And I actually had a drill instructor. We had Marine Corps drill instructors. He pulled me aside and said, "Hey, you need to get in trouble as much as you can because the PT here is not enough for you. For what you're going to do is like you are going to go. You're going to be in worse shape when you leave here
Yeah.
than you are now." And he was right, man. He was dead right. OCS guys have the highest attrition rate in buds. And, so yeah, the PT itself wasn't challenging. Honestly, dude, it was the classes. That's what kicked my ass because I have an exercise science degree. These other guys are like engineers and,
Okay. Yeah.
aerospace guys. So the academic side of OCS was the challenging part for me. But,
So, what buzz class were you?
I went in 260. So I went in 2006, and my time in Buzz was very short lived, man. That really started my downward spiral in
Hmm.
life because so this is what I did. I made an idol out of the SEAL teams, right? I was raised in the church, was baptized at 13, but I saw the trident as a way for me to prove to the world that I wasn't that kid that was bullied, that kid that experienced some horrific childhood trauma, that I wasn't just a normal guy. I saw that as my out and my way to prove
Mhm.
to the world that I was, somebody special. And I couldn't handle it when I didn't get it, man. It was devastating. Now that I sit here talking to you today, it was not the hardest thing I've ever gone through because I've been through some weird stuff. But at the time, it was tough, man. It really was, and I understand why it haunts people for so long to not
So,
achieve that goal.
what did you retrospectively learn about yourself going through that whole process?
Um, that's a good question, man. Looking back at the time, I was probably in a victim state of mind. The best way I know how to put this, and I don't know what other guests have said on your show. It's kind of like you're the stud in your hometown, and you go and try out for the Yankees, and everybody there's better than you.
Okay.
Like you feel prepared, and the Discovery Channel, the books, all that stuff that was out, when I was, in high school, it gave you a glimpse of it, but until you're going through it, you don't for me, it wasn't a complete shock, but I was still surprised at the physical side to me was not sold as much as the mental side, and I think
Okay.
the physical side, because a lot of stuff people don't think about, man, I was 26 when I got there, and you're getting dropped for push-ups because somebody forgot a piece of gear or you're running a mile to the chow hall. That stuff adds up, and I'm not making excuses, but
Mm-mm.
at 26, you're not gonna handle it as well as you would at, 18 right out of high school, and, it kinda started to it opened my eyes to like, man, this is major league, and that wasn't even like, I mean, buds is a selection process. That's not even doing the job,
Right, 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 right.
but
So,
but
what
yeah.
did you end up doing for the Navy?
So I was one of the lucky ones. I paid for my own college. I was able to get out altogether. So I left the Navy. I was not in very long. And then that's when I came home, had no purpose, was depressed, felt like a failure.
Hmm.
And then I kind of drifted into law enforcement as a way to find that brotherhood that I found in the military. And so that's when I became a police officer.
How long were you a Leo for?
Not very long, dude. About 2 years. I got in some major trouble off duty, and
Oh, jeez.
had to resign. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it was, it was a short career, but, and it was my own department that hit me up. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I was an idiot, man. I was an idiot. I was carrying the, shame of a failed career in the military into law enforcement, and I kinda had a vendetta against the world. I hated
Okay.
myself and I pretty much hated everybody else because I didn't get what I wanted. So it's kind of like you're trying to get that ultimate rush and you just you can't get it. You can't, no matter how hard you try, you can't find it.
Is this where the drinking came in that you eventually sobered up from?
Honestly, man, the drinking ramped up, but I didn't get sober until because this was back in I left law enforcement in 2010, and I got my first year of sobriety was 22, so it took a while.
Wow.
Yeah, I actually drank more as a small business owner, believe it or not, than, a cop.
And I would imagine from what you just shared is kind of a coping mechanism of sorts to deal with how you felt about yourself.
Yeah, really, I was trying to numb, and,
Yeah.
I was trying to escape because I was just really unhappy, I was bored, and for me getting in trouble at my apartment, I think looking back was more of I was bored, you know? I was doing reckless things because I my own perception of myself,
Yeah.
I didn't feel worthy of success, I didn't feel worthy of happiness, I didn't feel worthy of love, I didn't feel worthy of God, and so I was doing things that were just foolish and reckless, and the alcohol was a way for me to kinda escape, reality. Responsibility is probably is a better way to put that.
Now you can self reflect back and see that lack of self respect for and confidence and kind of the self sense that you had, the poor self
Mhm.
sense that you had. Did you know you had that then, or is this something like at one point you started learning through some process that like, wow, I really don't think well of myself, and this led to these various behaviors? Like, how did that all come to your conscious awareness?
Well, I think for the most part, I had imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
So on the outside, I had this bravado, I was confident, and I was able to excel in areas. So
Mm.
I mean, I think I was pretty decent as a police officer. I didn't have any problems with, the academy, the physical side of it. So I was kind of a leader, but I didn't want to be a leader. I was
Mm.
more of an individual. But I don't know. That's a good question. I don't think I really sat around and thought like, well, Steve, you suck at life and you're worthless. I just saw it as more, I don't want to be where I'm at, but I'm stuck. I don't know how to get out of this place. And so I would try to do things to prove myself. So I was probably a mix of both. Like I wasn't self-aware. I don't think I
Okay.
knew I had a problem with depression, but I didn't really understand it, I guess, you know?
Well, so when did the new path open up for you to take you where you are today from where you were
Yeah.
before?
Yeah, so that was a really long process. So I got divorced when I left law enforcement. Then a couple years later I got remarried. So I have a daughter from my first marriage. She's 16. Her name is Josie. And
Hi,
then
Josie.
yeah, then when I left law enforcement, I got divorced and really struggled to find a really a purpose or a career. And my second wife, we were dating and she mentioned, you should go back into personal training. I wanted to go back in law enforcement.
Hmm.
That was kind of my thing. And so I ended up opening a business, the business I own now. And that is really when the shame, the failure mindset, and the doubt really crept in because it took off. It was weird, man. Like it took off pretty quick, but I didn't feel worthy of it. Right.
Wow. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I would do things not at work. I always showed up on time. I was always professional. I loved what I did. But on the weekends, I would just drink. I was a bad husband. I would drink because I never felt like being a business owner could compare to being a Navy SEAL. So I
Yeah.
was like, I'm a joke. My brother, I love him to death. He is the all-American badass. He has the life and the gig that I thought I would get. And I'm not jealous of him, but I kind of was in his shadow. He's younger than me, but I always kind of lived in his shadow.
Did he go Navy Special Warfare?
No, he's Army Special Operations.
Okay.
So he's an aviator. But like he
Yeah.
started out in the Marine Corps, flew Cobras, and now he's in the Army doing some cool guy stuff. And so
Nice.
yeah, David was always kind of we were always competitive. We were always pretty close with each other, but I kind of saw him as man, he's living the life that I want. So no matter
Mm.
how successful I was at work as a business owner, it didn't touch, in my mind, what he was doing or what was out there, what could have been. And so I didn't feel worthy of success. And so that's when I really would ramp up the alcohol was just to try to escape where I was at. I was just unhappy. So I'm answering this kind of in a long-winded way, but the
That's fine.
self-awareness did not happen until I had an accident, was given an ultimatum, and that was my rock bottom moment. So that's when it all kind of started.
Is that when you got sober, or just started asking the questions that eventually got you sober?
So when I had my accident, I was in marriage counseling with my wife at the time, my son's mom, and, the therapist said, "Steve, you got 2 choices. You can pick alcohol or you can pick your family because you're an alcoholic." And I told him, I said, "Richard, I'm not an alcoholic, but I'm not gonna choose booze over my family." So, basically, my, son's mom wanted me to enter some kinda treatment program,
Mm.
and I did AA. I went to 2 meetings, but I'm a very hard-headed individual, and I like to do the unconventional route.
Yeah.
So we had been back in church, and I went to the church and just said, "Hey, do you guys have a program or, like, a men's group?" And they actually started a Wednesday night Bible study just for men, and that's really where I started, and I decided at that point I wanted to really follow Christ again. I dedicated my life back to him,
Nice.
and that's how I got sober. Like, I did it kind of, cold turkey, for lack of better words.
The Holy Spirit moved you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I finally at that time realized I wanna be the man that my kids deserve and the man that my wife at the time deserved, and, because see, man, I lived in this, cloak of fear and shame from God. Like, I tried to hide from him because I didn't feel worthy of him. I knew he was there. I mean, I believed in Christ. I knew I was a Christian. He's like, I got baptized as a teenager, but I felt like that I was unworthy of, salvation. So I kinda, for lack of better words, ran with the devil because I just felt like God would never want me in heaven. So, that's when I got sober, I kinda realized I understood grace. Because, dude, I started reading. I started listening to podcasts, I started
Mm.
reading, I started journaling. I finally grew up. At 42 is when I finally had my aha moment, like, "Okay, now I can be an asset, not a liability," but it really took me, hitting that rock bottom twice, because I hit it twice in my life, to understand that, okay, I need to get my shit together,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah, yeah.
because
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I was foolish.
Now, was it the spiritual opening that changed your psychology, or did you also work with a therapist to change your self-concept? Like, how did your opinion of yourself change over time?
Great question. So I actually was in therapy. I started therapy in 19 or 2020, and I went for almost 2.5 years. But here's the thing, like, I did want to understand myself to a point, but I almost was doing it in a way to please my son's mom, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And so I took it serious, but I didn't really look through it of the lens of, "Hey, I need to really understand why I do things or why I feel this way." So, the spirituality really is what made me self-aware, you know? Like, that's really, like, I started listening to Jordan Peterson. I
Cool.
read
Okay.
read s read some of his books
Yep.
and, started listening to some other podcasts, and so then I started to realize, "Hey, these guys have had the same experiences as me. Like, huh, maybe I'm not broken. Maybe there is like hope for me." And so it was more of a I'm very self-motivated. I always kind of have been. And I kind of like to be what's the word? Like when people try to like if you told me like, "Steve, you can't do this," I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna find a way to do it. Like I'm the underdog, or however you want to put that. So that's when I really took it upon myself to start reading, and you know what's funny, man? I thought like life would be easier. Well, it's wrong, dude. I was way wrong. But yeah, so that's how my sobriety started, but it was after I hit my year mark is when my whole world fell apart. That's when everything that's when the floor or the rug was pulled from underneath me, my friend. That's when I had to really tighten it up and really rely on Jesus at that point.
How so? Like, how did that play out for you? It was like prayer, meditation, Bible
Um,
reading. Like,
I
what were
the
the
surrender?
practices you're doing to allow this to occur to get through the second hole that you found yourself in?
Oh, you mean as far as the surrendering part?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, I hit my year mark of sobriety on October 15th, 2022, and about a week later, my son's mom told me she wanted a divorce. So I, in my mind, because I'm a simple creature, I in my head was going. I ran through the checklist and I said, I did everything. I got sober. I got back in church. I not looking at porn. I'm doing all these things I thought was the right thing, and I'm standing there going, wait a minute. like, what the hell? Like, why are we getting divorced? And I got that, and I'm not beating her up. I don't have anything
Mhm,
against her, but I got the
mhm,
whole, like, I'm not in love with you anymore, and
mm,
that whole thing. And dude, it just it crushed me because I felt like I did everything right. And I remember that night when she told me, and I've shared this before on other shows, but I had this moment where I just wanted to end my life right there because I felt like, okay, I've done everything right. I did everything I was supposed to do and it wasn't good enough. I can't put, so my daughter, it'd be the second divorce for her, right? Because I got divorced when she was a year and a half old. And now I have a 4-year-old son. And I'm just
mhm,
sitting here in my head going, man, I don't want to put both my kids through a divorce and then my daughter through two. I just felt like a complete failure. And I had this flash in my head of lay in the tub, eat your Glock, get this end it. This is done. This is over. And as soon as and I didn't share that with her. She left the room and I got on my knees and I just started praying out loud because at this point I already had a relationship with Jesus. I had restored that. And I told him, I said, God, I can't do this. Like, I cannot do this on my own. And I was crying. And this was in October. And so man, we stayed in the house together because I told her I'm not leaving until it's final because I don't want to be away from Jacob. So I lived with her separated until March of 23.
oh, okay.
And dude, it was difficult. It was very difficult. I stayed in church. I still did my morning routine. I was trying to um, basically hide from my kids what was going on and trying to hold it together. But that's when I really started to develop that close relationship with Christ because I was still trying to save it, man, up until the last day,
Mm,
until the ink was dry on the paper. I was trying to save it. I was like, I don't want this to happen. What can I do? I was pleading with God to save the marriage. I went to our preacher. It's like you're on a sinking ship and you're just trying everything you can to save yourself. And it didn't happen, man. That marriage ended, and that was kind of a holy shit moment, right? Like I was like, dude, what have you done with your life? I'm 46 now, so I'd have been 43. It was like you're 43 years old. You've been divorced twice. You've got two failed careers. Like what is your problem, man? And that's when I just leaned on God and was like, I have to have you in my life because I cannot do this on my own. When I tried that, it didn't work. So that's really where there's a book by John Eldridge called Beautiful Outlaw. When I
yeah,
read that book, it made me realize, okay, Jesus can be with me in everything, not just in church, not just in prayer, like in a closed room. Like I can have a relationship with him all the time, and that's kind of I leaned on friends. Like I leaned on true good friends like in the church. So I was asking for help, like from
good,
elders. I was the
good.
preacher, and I was more open about my testimony to people. Like I didn't hide from like when I was arrested, I didn't hide from being in a person that abused alcohol. I mean, I didn't go around talking about it to everybody, but I was more, the pride was kind of removed. I wasn't trying to hide anymore or wear that mask came off. I was more open about who I was.
Well, despite all the hard challenges, and obviously there are quite a few of them, I have to imagine having gone through that now that you're working with people, your empathy, you have like so much more empathy and understanding because of the
Mhm.
challenges you went through. Would that be true?
Yeah, yeah, and it's especially for the single dads out there because I really feel like sometimes we're forgotten about. Like there's a I think there's some very big platforms that do a lot for the veteran community, but those same platforms I think sometimes say things without thinking, and they make, at least it made me feel this way. I heard it put one time, "Dad, you get one shot to get it right. After
Mhm.
that, you'll never be able to fix it." And as a single dad who's been divorced twice, I took that as, man, it's a good thing I've worked on myself because that would have crushed me, dude.
Yeah.
Because how do you come back from that? And this individual is very famous. I'm not gonna say his name, but he's got a huge platform. And that I just feel like if you don't do it the way society wants you to do it, you're kind of put over here in a box. Like,
Mm.
well, And I experienced a lot of church hurt and shame too. And I'm not knocking the church, but a guy's been divorced twice with 2 kids from different women, man. That's not you're not hitting the check marks for being a leader in church, my friend,
Mm.
especially in Middle Tennessee. But it's but
For men who are listening, like we have men and women, but for men who are listening to this, or let's say single fathers who are going through some challenging times, maybe not the exact same one, the ones that you are, what do you, because you talk about this on your show, and this is something you teach, like, what is a message to them on helping so they can get through this like you have and continue to do?
that's a great question. I think the biggest thing is put your faith in God, and if you're not a believer, have it in something else other than you, but most importantly, think about your kids because no matter our society glamorizes divorce now, and taking religion out of it, the kids are innocent. They have
Mhm.
no decision in what happens. And so, what you need to do as a man, I think, is show your children, no matter what happened, you still respect their mother, you don't speak ill of them, and do the right thing for your kids, but
Mm.
also don't hold on to because grief is hard, man. Grieving someone who's still alive is a weird, difficult experience, but I think what the best thing that you can do as a dad is treat your ex-spouse with respect, show your children that they can trust you and they feel safe with you, they feel protected, and show up for them.
Mm.
Like obviously you have to be guarded with some of the things you can share because they're going to have questions, but show up for them, make them feel loved, and make them feel important. Because I think a lot of men, this is a blanket statement, they see divorce as like a, "I'm free now. Now I can
Mhm.
go do all the" and trust me, man, like, I went through that in my head, but as a believer, I knew that I can't do that. Like, I need to do what's best for my kids, so focus on the kids, don't just jump into another relationship. Don't try to fill that void with someone else because you don't have that family anymore, that identity as a husband, so really focus on your kids.
Nice. I want to circle back on the sobriety front because
Mhm.
from what you shared, your relationship to Jesus and God was the kind of the pivotal thing for you. But you're also a trainer too,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, how did diet, nutrition, and fitness and those kind of things, if they did at all, play a role in either getting you sober or keeping you sober?
You wanna get controversial here for a minute?
Sure.
So,
Go
I
for it.
I I say this at work. So, I've owned a personal training business for 12 years, and I've been a trainer for about 25 years, and I'm gonna say this, and some of the viewers are probably gonna, like, scratch their head. Dude, I was a machine when I drank. A machine. I was bigger, faster, and stronger when I drank. And I ate well, so my diet was dialed in, my training was dialed in. Of course, I was younger. I've had more arthritis, more aches and pains, less energy. Just you name it, dude. You would think you get sober, now you're this rock star. For me, it was the opposite. I was like damn near bulletproof when I drank. And I'm not
Huh.
saying to drink because
Yeah.
you'd be in better shape.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, man, like, so I've always had a pretty good concept of diet and exercise. Now obviously being sober, 100% sober, like I don't drink or do drugs or anything, but, my diet, my training is very similar, but from the sobriety standpoint, like running for me was an outlet when I drank. Like
Okay.
I used to do ultra marathons, and so that was a way for
Huh.
me to kind of I was running, for myself, I think, but it was an escape too. The gym was an escape, but now it's more of physical fitness is very important, I think, for mental health. And so for
Mm.
me, it's a way to um, get those primal emotions out that men can't tap into, like anger. I mean, let's be honest. If you're out in the public, you're being watched. You can't blow someone's hair back if they piss you off. So the gym is a good way to kind of channel that aggression, channel that anger. And when I drank, um, I was a powder keg, man. I was on edge all the time. And so even though I would train, I would run, I would work out, it didn't really curb that. So I don't know if I'm answering your question or not, but like the sobriety piece, my diet didn't, and my training didn't. I didn't really notice a difference other than when I was drinking, I was in better shape and
Which
strong.
is really interesting. That's fascinating. Now, if you have guys that come to you who have a drinking or drug problem and
Mhm.
they're trying to get sober, um, would you recommend as part of that the importance of physical training and eating healthy and good sleep and all the on the physical side of things?
Yeah, I definitely with the training and the eating because I think regardless of where you're coming from, you need to do that, especially as you age. And I feel like, I mean, I grew up in the '80s, so we looked up to guys like Arnold and Stallone.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
You don't have those guys anymore. Now it's all the longevity stuff is big, and you see guys that the men I think nowadays don't lift weights like they did back in my generation as much, at least where I live. And so I don't hit on the sleep as much, and I'll be honest with you, I'll tell you why. I'm a big believer in lead by example, and, sleep is very important. And my friend Nick Lavery did a post about this the other day. The first thing to do is get your sleep in order.
Uh,
I don't get enough sleep as an individual, so I don't preach it because I don't wanna tell you, "You need 8 hours of sleep at night," but I'm over here getting 4. So and that's my own fault. I've always had sleep issues. I do think it's important. I wanna make sure that's stated correctly, but I don't stand on my soapbox and talk sleep like some other trainers do. I do preach the fitness and the nutrition side. So for me personally, I should get more sleep, but I just don't. Trying to run 2 businesses now, and I'm
mm,
making excuses, but I can't go to bed at 9 o'clock. You know what I
well,
mean? So
I, I,
I don't get it.
I'm gonna have to get you on a call with Dr. Kirk Parsley to yell at you for the sleep stuff.
Yeah, I've been yelled at a lot, man, so I get used to it. Yeah, and I know it's important. I really do. My doctor is on me all the time about it. I know it's important, but yeah, I'm a very, all or nothing person,
Mm.
and some therapists would call that an addictive personality, but, I don't like to leave stuff unfinished, so if I record a show, which I record on Wednesdays and Thursdays, I'm gonna stay up to edit it to make sure it's done. I don't want it sitting in the pipe, and so, I've just kinda I mean, when my son's with me, because I have joint custody, I go to bed at 9 o'clock. I do, but I get up
That's
like, a couple days a week, I'm getting up at 3:30 to go train clients. So, I'd have to go
3:30.
yeah, I'd have to go to like, this morning, I got up at 3:40, so I woulda had to go to bed last night around 7. That's not gonna happen. It's summertime, the sun's out. It's like so once I can get a normal schedule, I think the sleep would be a little bit easier for me, and I'm making excuses, but at the end of the day, I know I'm supposed to do that, I don't have that dialed in, but,
Fair
yeah,
enough.
you're right.
Fair enough.
It's very important, it is.
For your physical training, what kind of clients do you attract, and what kind of training do you provide for them?
Yeah, great question. So, my business is really general fitness, and my demographics are mostly 50 and up. I train mostly women. Since I've started the podcast, I've kind of wanted to shift that a little bit and get more into the men. Women are more open minded, from my experience, about taking care of their health, optimizing
About everything.
performance. Yeah, yeah, definitely, man. I do have male clients, I do, but traditionally, I've always had more women clients, and so I have had kind of a wide range in the fitness world. I co-owned a CrossFit gym for years. I used to train some younger guys that were going into the military, but
Nice.
now it's mostly general fitness. I saw a hole in the market that needed to be filled, and so I went that route. And I'm old school, man. I don't do any of the kind of trendy Instagram training. I do the old school type stuff, and so mostly it's people that wouldn't be comfortable going to a big gym because I have a studio, so it's all one on.
Oh, well,
There's
nice.
yeah, there's no
Nice.
classes, there's no group fitness, it's all one-on-one private. So it's a lot of what I do is very similar to physical therapy, but it's folks that are coming in that may not have the same limitations they would have going from like a surgery into a physical therapist. So
Right. Right.
yeah, it's not the sexy like, "Hey, we're gonna go and do Murph this weekend," or, something like that. It's more general fitness crowd, which I like. I like helping those folks because they're not gonna go to a big gym and try to work out and stuff, you
Mm.
know?
What's your training look like?
Mine's very basic and very old school. So I train 5 to 6 days a week. I typically do a single body part when I train. I just lift weights. I need double shoulder replacement surgery, so I've had to learn how to work around that. So I can't train the way I really want to, but
Mm,
I still get pretty good workouts in. But at 46, I'm starting to realize I'm not going to just put slabs of muscle on anymore. So it's
mm,
more of a maintenance type
mm.
phase. But I enjoy it. I love lifting weights. But yeah, it's just lifting weights, man. I don't do a lot of cardio anymore because I used to be a runner and I don't run
Yeah.
anymore. But the way I train is I don't take a lot of rest in between. I do high volume. So like if you said, "Hey Steve, I need you to go run 2 miles," it would suck, but I could do it.
Mm.
I mean, I could knock it out because when my son and I we play basketball, he's 7, dude. He doesn't stop. So we're playing soccer, so I can keep up with him. And he actually bet me the other day. He's like, "Dad, I bet I can beat you in a foot race for some V-bucks, like for PlayStation." I was like, "There's no way you're beating me, dude." And I smoked him like three.
Uh,
So it's like,
no
so
PlayStation for him.
well, I told him I said, "If you can hit a 24-inch box jump, we'll talk about it." And that joker nailed it. So he
Oh,
got,
good for
yeah,
him.
I got it on
Nice.
video too. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome.
So it made it work. But I told him, I was like, "You're never gonna beat me, dude. Like, I'm gonna make sure no matter how old I am."
That's
But
funny.
yeah, yeah.
Any chance you're a rucker?
No, man. I I know it's popular. I've seen your post. I have not done it since I was training for the Navy. I used to be a trail runner, man. I used to love running in the woods and all that stuff.
That's some
But
crazy shit.
but you know what though? It if you get used to it, it's more enjoyable than running on the road
Mm.
because you really get I'm kind of a loner, man. Like, I don't like like, it's so funny, dude. I have these guys come on the show like, "Man, next time I come to town, let's get a workout." And I'm just like, "I'd rather get a cup of coffee." I'd rather go to dinner because I working out for me, I just like to put music on and kinda get my own world. But trail running for me was, I don't know, it's good to get out in the woods and get away from
Mm.
people, and you're not worried about cars, and it was
Yeah, yeah,
very
yeah.
therapeutic, man. I loved it. Like, it's hard, but I loved it. Very enjoyable.
It's funny. I spoke to a woman. I did the 50-mile Go Ruck a couple
Oh,
of years ago,
nice. Yeah, nice.
and the woman's like, "Oh, you're crazy if you're doing that." Blah 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 blah. And she's a marathon runner. I'm like,
Yeah.
marathon running is crazy. What I did was easy compared to running. Like that's
I don't know,
insane.
man. 50 miles with a ruck. Yeah. We used to train with, weight vests a long time ago before it got popular, and probably one of the hardest things I remember, we used to do have you ever heard of, treadmill Tabata? You ever heard of that workout?
No, no, no.
So,
Uh,
the Tabata principle from CrossFit? Have you ever heard of that?
yeah, 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 yeah.
So you take the same prescription, but you get on a treadmill, you put it at 12% grade, and you take your fastest 5K pace time. So let's say you're running a 7, 8 minute mile in a 5K. So that's the pace you keep on a treadmill with a 20-pound vest on at a 12% grade.
Wow.
That workout will make a man out of you. It is absolutely brutal. And when I was doing long distance stuff, we would do that twice a week. I was way younger then, but that that was like the extent of me carrying any kind of weight. And we would swim with a vest on too. That's not very safe. I would recommend having a swim buddy if you do that. But
Yes,
we
yes,
would
yes,
do
yes.
that. Yeah. It's very hypoxic.
Well, I'll tell you this. I worked for Commander Mark Devine over at SEALFIT for about a
Oh,
decade.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and he had a saying, and once it's been said, it must be done. So now that it's been said, I'm going to pick up
Awesome.
Tabata exercise workout.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd
Yeah.
love to see what you think about it, man.
Well, I'm going to probably hate it, but I'll try
Yeah.
it anyways.
I got certified. CrossFit used to do a CrossFit endurance certification, and that's where I got that from. So I went to their cert in Atlanta, and I trained for a 50K trail run just using
Hmm.
CrossFit endurance. So we didn't do any long distance stuff, just intervals, repeats, and then a couple long runs, but not like the traditional marathon training. And yeah, those Brian McKenzie, man, he was a stud back in the day. That's who ran the cert. I don't think they do it anymore. CrossFit's changed a lot, but it was a
Yeah.
neat way to train, man. It was different, very unconventional, but
Yeah.
very cool.
So you also have a podcast.
I do.
Why did you launch the podcast, and what's the intent behind it?
Great question. It's kind of a long story how it started, but basically the snapshot view is as I started to evolve and kind of really dive into reading and journaling and listening to podcasts and increasing my faith, I saw my testimony as a way to help other men keep them from making the same mistakes that I did. And I know people argue and say they weren't mistakes, and I'm grateful for them, but I saw it as a way to share my testimony and basically say, hey, I thought I had it all figured out, but I didn't because I was too foolish. So I don't want to see men go down the same road I did.
Mhm, mhm.
And I don't have a background in broadcasting or journalism. I have a degree in exercise science. I've been a trainer most of my life. So this was all new for me. And I just thought I'd give it a try, man. And I started off just doing this with people I knew. And then I met a pastor online named Jason Feezer. He's out of Arizona, and I saw a clip he put out. I sent him a message on Instagram, kind of like how you and I met, and I just said, "Hey, man, I love your stuff." He's a bodybuilder. He's got tattoos, and he's a preacher. And I said, "Man, thanks for being a real man and spreading the gospel." We struck up a conversation. I said, "Hey, I've just started a podcast. I'd love to bring you on." And that was really my first episode, and that was a
Nice,
year.
nice.
That was a year ago next month. That's when I started, and he was very humble, very kind, and that really kind of lit the spark, man, for me to start hitting it full blast. And my girlfriend encouraged me. She was like, you really need to share your story with people. And I think the biggest thing I want people to take away from all this is that I love Jesus, but I don't fit in the box of a traditional Christian. I don't fit the
Mm,
mold. And so I wanted to still talk about Christ without people feeling like they have to have this list of credentials to be able to do it, right? And so when I had Jason on the show, it kind of awoke or woke, how do you say it? I was awake to what I need to do. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to start reading scripture. I'm going to pray. I'm going to get people to talk about their testimony. If they're a believer, talk about that. And so that's really how it started.
that's great, man. I'm sure it's positively benefiting a lot of men out there and women too. I'm sure
Yeah.
women listen to the audience too.
Yeah. And I've had quite a few women on the show as well.
That's cool.
The funny thing is I never intended on it being just about veterans or first responders, but they all kind of started coming my way, and I thought, "Oh, okay, cool." Like, well, you don't have to be one, but there's been a lot on the show, so
Right.
kinda neat.
Speaking of your show, like where can people find
Yeah.
your podcast, the name of it, and where can people find it on the different
So,
platforms?
yeah, my show is, the Peace, Power, and Purpose podcast. It's on YouTube, Spotify, it's on Amazon Music, and Apple Podcast. I'm on all the social media platforms. It's Peace, Power, and Purpose podcast, pretty easy to find, and so I do 2 episodes a week, and, they come out immediately, like, I don't sit on them. That's why I don't sleep. So when you talk to your buddy, I don't that's why I don't sleep. So, yeah, and I've kinda kept that schedule here for, the last probably almost year, really, just
Nice.
knocking out episodes. So, yeah, I love it, man. I wanna do it full time. That's my goal. My
That's your
goal is to
goal.
have a studio, bring guests in, get to hang out with them, break bread with them, get to know them more as an actual person instead of just doing like what we're doing, today. Which I like doing
Virtual.
this, but I
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I've made some really great friends through this, man.
Nice.
I stay in touch with a lot of people. I really want to build this brotherhood of guys, and so they feel like they can call me and talk if something's bothering them, and
That's
really
fantastic.
it's breaking that stigma of what I thought a real man was, growing up. That's really
Yeah.
what I'm trying to do is it's okay to ask for help.
I think that's an important message. I'm glad you brought that back up because I want you to highlight that, because a lot of men won't ask for help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we were taught, like, my generation, anger was the only acceptable emotion, right?
Mm.
And we're always like, even in the military and law enforcement, like, suck it up. Don't be a you know what, like, don't talk about your feelings. But what that does is it keeps everything inside. It's got to go somewhere. And so a lot of guys like myself would drink to try to
Mhm.
um, get
Mhm.
rid of that, or to, go work out, whatever it was, to try to burn that off. But I think what I want people to understand is it takes more strength to ask for help than to stay
It Yeah.
and
Yeah.
there's a lot of collateral damage that can happen when you don't work on yourself, and I'm a product of that, man. I put my kids through 2 divorces. I've lost friendships because of my drinking. I lost a career because of it, and so I just don't want men to think you just got to beat your chest and be some badass. Yeah, you need to work out, take care of yourself, and you can still look the part, but then go and get help. And what's really cool to see is how many more men now are coming forward and saying, "Yeah, I have a therapist," or "Yeah, I
Mhm,
do work
mhm.
on myself." That have done these insane careers, man, that have operated at the tip of the spear, but they still will say mental health is important. Like it's very important.
Yeah, and I'm really glad you said that. And yes, I'm hearing that more and more from guys, but I'm also hearing more from institutions recognizing the importance of mental health, including law enforcement, including the
Yeah,
military, which is really, really
yeah.
important.
And I think another thing too, to your point is, like, I had a very bad call when I was a police officer. It was a fire call, and I lost a patient. I had a patient basically
Mhm.
die in my arms, and when I cleared that call, I was expected just to go back to work, to just deal with it, and I didn't really process what had happened until later down the road, and I didn't know this at the time, but I was holding on to a lot of mixed emotions, PTSD, whatever you wanna call it, from that scene, and it came out in destructive ways because I never really talked
Dealt with
about
it.
it. I
Yeah.
never addressed it. Yeah, so I want, especially men to understand, like, you gotta, like, debrief that stuff. You can't
Yeah.
just expect to, "Oh, it's cool. I'm tough. Like, it's not gonna phase me." No, it's going to, and it may sit in there and wait a couple years to really come out, but you'll get triggered by the weirdest things, and you're just like, "Why am I doing this?" And
One of the ways I refer to this is like if you don't, you don't have to act out on your emotions, but if you don't process them, they come
Mhm.
out one of two ways: passive aggressive behavior, or as a chronic illness somewhere down the road.
Mm,
Yeah. So
yeah,
100% agree
yeah.
with you. So you talked about you're a trainer too. Obviously, I
Mhm,
want to encourage people to go listen to your podcast. I'll
mhm.
include those in the show notes. Where can people learn more about your personal training?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. It's my business is called Franklin Personal Fitness here in Franklin, Tennessee, and it's a one-on-one model, so it's private, customized programming for your needs, and, we're not a big gym, and, been in business since 2014, and, very friendly, very, welcoming environment, so, yeah, I've been doing that. I don't do any online training. I've always done brick and mortar, man, or I'm sorry, on the floor, so it's old school in-person training,
Right on.
and, yeah, it's great, great
Cool.
environment.
Awesome. Well, hey, Steve, appreciate your time. Appreciate your insights. God bless you for the sobriety and the message you're sharing with the world around us that our past is our past, but we can create our future.
Thank you,
Yeah.
brother. I really
Yeah.
appreciate the opportunity and honor to be on here today.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, thank you.